In today's episode, I have a finished Knitatude top, I have a finished advent project, I have a really good progress on my whips, and Loki is here, so we're all ready and let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Fast and Pearls, my channel where I talk about all of my passions, knitting and crochet are at the top of the list. My name is Laura and I come to you from the southeast of the UK where I live with my partner Yanni and our Dachshund Loki, who is featuring today. Clearly she decided until she barks, and you can go there. And today is Sunday 7th of June 2026 and I am ready to talk about my finished objects, so let's start with that immediately. Just one thing actually before we start, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I've had a few new subscribers lately and I am very, very grateful. Thank you very much for subscribing. So if you're new here, thank you for being here. If you've been here all along, thank you very much for coming back. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me on my email, past.pearls@gmail.com, on my Instagram, past.pearls, and on my Ravelry, where I usually also share my projects and some collections of patterns I'm looking at. And there I am, Laura Past Pearls. Okay, without further ado, let's start with the finished objects. So there is one that you've seen a few times, but I will let you wait for that. And we are gonna start with the Braided Bralette by Knitatude. So this actually, if you remember, I had started it last year. It was part of my plan for last summer. I started it and I'm gonna show you then in the details. So I did probably this much of the rib last year, so this much, and I let it go because then I focused on other things and I took it out and I started doing the ribbing. It took me longer to do the ribbing than everything else. Actually, once I finished the ribbing, this is very unexpected for me to be a finished object. I thought it would come up next month's podcast, but actually I finished the top part, even with the cabling and the shaping and everything, in literally just 2 evenings. So it was really quick, so I thought, okay, it is ready to be shown, and actually it fits a dream. It fits so perfectly. I am so pleased with it. It looks so good and fits perfectly. So flattering also. I wanted to wear it today, but it is, as you can see, I'm actually wearing a long sleeve jumper. Yes, it's a summer jumper, but still, with all windows closed and the summer jumper, it's windy, it's rainy, it's like 15 degrees, is really cold. So this was a little bit too summery for it. So I thought I'll put some footage and pictures of me wearing it so you can see it. And hopefully for now that's enough. I will be wearing it later on in another occasion when it will be more appropriate to wear for the weather. Anyway, so I am really pleased. So this, as I said, this is by Knitatude. I used Mayflower Cotton Merino Classic, which is a sports weight. So if you haven't seen my previous episode, my latest episode, it was a collection of summer patterns for sports weight. Actually, I didn't include this one because I didn't realize that this one was a sports weight. So actually I looked for new patterns. I didn't even think about considering looking at the ones that I already had. But yes, this is a summer pattern and it is a sport weight. So she did it, I think, with 100% cotton or a mixed cotton bamboo maybe. I decided to make it with cotton merino actually, because I saw some people that did it with cotton merino and it came out really nice. And it is such a nice fabric. I tried it on the other night when I finished it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Of course, there is a little bit of warmth to it because of the merino. It's 50% merino and 50% cotton, and it's, I think, 50 grams balls. Actually, let me show you the label. I have 1 ball and a half left, basically. So this is Cotton Merino Classic. from Mayflower, and this is the ball, and it's here you can see dye lot and color, and it is, here you can see 50 grams for 100 meters, I think. And the merino in this is mulesing free. You see the certification here, which is actually really good. I'm very pleased with that. So it's washable. It has a coolness to the touch, but it has a little bit of warmth. So I wouldn't wear it during the heat wave that we had last week. So this week has been really freezing. The coming week is going to be really freezing until Friday. And then we're going to have, I think, another little bit of a heat wave, hopefully not as big as the previous one. We reached 35.5 degrees, which in May, especially for the UK, that's really unheard of. So I was saying I wouldn't wear this during the heat wave. However, I would wear it in summer. Not on a cold day like today. However, yes, I could wear it with a shirt or a blouse or a t-shirt underneath. That would look, it would still look amazing. So that would be perfect, or maybe a dress even. But so that on a cold day like today, probably would actually be perfect with something underneath. On a warmer day, maybe on those days between 20 and 25 when you have a bit of breeze, it's really warm, but not too warm that you just want to have a thin viscose layer or linen. You want something a little bit, maybe a little bit more substantial. So yes, I'm actually looking forward to wearing this. So for the details of this, I have used a 5.5 millimeter needle. No, it was a 5.0 millimeter needle, and I use my circular needle, which are currently my favorite needles from Lantern Moon. So it's the ebony range from Lantern Moon, and I love them. I absolutely love them. Then everything has been done with the same, so the ribbing and the upper part, and actually I cheated. Actually, I went down to a 4 millimeter or 4.5, I think a 4 millimeter to do the I-cord, because I wanted it to be a little bit tighter, you know. So that's what I did. But everything else, yes, it was a 5 millimeter, which is what, I mean, it's not what was called for this yarn, but it worked really well. Especially, yeah, I think it worked really well. It is what was called for in the pattern by Knitatude. So let's see if I can show you the details. So you have different lengths. Actually, you can get the cropped version, which is kind of until here, and you can get the longer version, which basically becomes a tank top, and is all the way to wherever you want it. So I decided this is a little bit below the waist, just above the hips, so that kind of length that you can wear easily with a skirt, but also with trousers. So, but yes, something that maybe comes out is gonna be a different type of fabric. So I like to have that contrast, maybe of a lighter fabric coming out from here. And then this one being a little bit more fitted, exactly because it's a more substantial type of fabric. Then you start doing the upper part, front and back. You're still working in the round here. And then you start doing this lovely detail on the side with the cabling. Let's see if I can show you. Hopefully you can see the cabling, which was a lovely detail. And the best part of it is that the cabling then, see, like this, yes. The cabling then continues here. So it continues at the top. So it does very neat and nice edges here and here. So it looks really, I don't know, it is like a frame. It really frames the piece perfectly. And I was actually so pleasantly surprised with how well this fitted, because I was a bit like, is it gonna fit well? I had a bad experience in the past with a bralette, which I wanted to make as a top, which was also supposed to be as long as you wanted it. So, and it didn't fit me well at all. This is absolutely perfect. I did the size M, which is also the size that she does for herself. And I always consider myself lucky when I can do the size that actually the designer do for themselves, because I feel that is probably the the size that is gonna fit the best. I would assume. I know they have testers and everything, but it's not the same, is it? Anyway, in the back, before I actually attached the straps in the back, you can also choose, so you can have the length cropped or tank top, and then you can choose if you want a halter neck or if you want this. I don't like a halter neck. So halter neck, you just tie it at the back. I didn't like that, so the other option is just seam it on the back. And on the back at the top, you do this little bit of ribbing. And I actually have a secret. I've actually seen, I don't know if you can see, it's very, do you see a very thin white thread? That is an elasticated thread, is a 1 millimeter elasticated thread that I have here where I wove it in. You can see it a little bit more. That, but you can't see it from the other side, so I'm actually quite pleased with myself. And this is to keep the ribbing nice and tight. And again, I kind of eyeballed it a little bit, but it worked perfectly. And again, I was so pleased. So this time, sometimes, as you know, as you well know, sometimes things don't really work out for me. This one really did. And I am really happy with it. And I'm so happy that this is going to be a finished object for me, which is absolutely unexpected finished object for me. I had 5 balls of cotton merino, and I use three and almost a half, a little bit less than 3.5. So I have this much left, which now I need to figure out what to use. This is 100 and I have 160. No, that's not possible, Laura. No. Okay. So I used 169 grams. So I have 57, 51, 81. Is that right? I hope so. I have 81 grams left, which is this much, which is not little. So I need to figure out what to do with it. I need to figure out what, sorry, I'm covering Loki's eye because there's a dog coming by, and I know she will bark at that dog. She always does. You didn't bark. Good. So yeah, I need to decide what to do with this. I haven't thought about it yet. It's not much. However, I used 3 and almost less than half to do the whole of these. And I mean, I think the ribbon, it takes quite a bit of yarn, doesn't it? So this, I would think that, I mean, I will be able to do something more than a headband or a scrunchie, right? So it will be something more than that. So I need to be, yeah, I need to choose exactly what to use it for. But yes, it is sport weight. To be honest, it does feel a little bit thicker than the other sport weight that I'm using at the moment, which is the cotton bamboo. But I might be wrong. It might just be because of the merino, which is a more fluffed up. But yeah, that's it. That was my first finished object. Let's move on to my second finished object. Actually, I have 3. I have another one, a surprise one. So these, I need to figure out how to show it to you. Again, I've got some pictures and some footage, and I'm gonna also pop that in a little bit. But let me try to see if I can show you. I don't think the camera angle is wide enough. Is wide enough to show you everything, but I will stand up. So this is, it is larger. The wingspan is larger than my own wingspan. So that's what it is. So I'm sorry, I will not be able to show it to you, but this is what it is. So you've seen this piece many, many times. Okay, really difficult, isn't it? Yeah, and this is on the side. There. Okay, so let's see if I can just go. And that is really big, and it's really long, like very long. So let's see if I put it here. Can you see? Not really. Anyway, so if I put it on, okay, now Loki has taken my spot. Loki, I'm sorry. So let me just show you just one last thing. If I put it on like this, like a shawl blanket, this is how it looks like. And it's how long it is. I basically have a tail. But yeah, it's massive and I love it, and I've used it a few times in these chilly nights, because I wouldn't take out a full blanket even if like last night. Yeah, wrapping myself in this is actually quite effective, because this is still sock yarn, so it's thin but it's still quite warm. So as you know, this is, well, actually maybe you don't. Sorry, I didn't mention the pattern. So this is the Granny Wrap by Anna Boo's House. I modified it a little bit here at this point, because at the beginning I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So I improvised, and then I kind of liked it that it had this kind of, I don't know if you can see it, this kind of a thicker edge. So I continue like this, and I think actually it finishes it quite nicely. I do love the colors. This was a Truly Hooked Advent from 2023, and it was a circular fade, so that meant that it started somewhere here in the pinks and purples, I think somewhere here, and then it went all the way down, coming back then from the oranges and going back to the purples, pinks and purples. I decided to start from the orange because I wanted something brighter near my face somehow. So my beginning and end is orange. So obviously, with it being a circular fade, probably the best project for it would have been a circular type of work, or probably an infinity scarf would probably have been the best. But I didn't want to make an infinity scarf. I mean, I don't dislike infinity scarves, but I don't really use them much. I always find really awkward for myself when I wear them. So I wouldn't have used it, I know myself. So I just wanted to do this. And I had exactly this effect in mind, because I saw Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful, I think 2 years ago, she used a homespun house advent to do this. And she's made several of these patterns, but that was the first one, and maybe the only one that she made with sock yarn, and it came out, yes, as massive as this. Very similar colors to this, to be honest, with slightly different distribution, but, and I liked the effect. I remember when she was showing it in the video, she also had to take footage of herself standing, holding this thing in front of her, because she couldn't get the right angle while sitting down. And I was like, oof, I want something like that, and it's big. I don't know if I will ever wear it as a scarf. Although, well, now I have the microphone, I don't want to create problems with the audio. But if I kind of fold it a little bit like this, I can actually get it to work like that. So when you have maybe a blazer, when you have a coat, I do have one of those kind of woolen, very nice woolen coat that has got quite a deep V. And the normal scarves are never right, because you always have a hole somehow where your heart is. So basically the place which you somehow need to keep the warmest. And so I really think something like this would work best. Yes, again, probably something smaller, but with it being so thin, I think that the thinness of it, I also think with the light in the back, it really looks quite transparent. With it being so thin, it kind of makes up for the size that it is. So it has much less bulk, because, I mean, come on, This is the thickest part of it, and this is how thick it is in this part. This is gonna stay out. I'm not gonna put it away for the summer, because any cooler summer night, this is gonna work well when I'm just here. Last night I just wrapped in it. It's so nice because you don't need to just use it as a blanket, because you can literally wrap it all around you and it covers you nicely. So I'm very, very pleased with it. What else to say? It has 24 colors, and if you can spot them all, you're really good, because they really fade really well one into the other. Let's see, if I make it double, maybe you can also see the colors better. Just a second, bear with me. So, started with the orange, then it went into the bright pinks, purples, darker purples, indigos, blue, lighter blues, greeny blues, greens, blue greens, yellowy greens, bright yellow, and then a little bit more orange. So this was a 24 days advent. There were 20 grams mini of sock yarn, so 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. No sparkle, nothing, slightly variegated, as you can see. I have 0 grams left, so I used it all, which is what I like to do. I don't want to have yarn left at the end of a project, so I'm really pleased with it. And so yeah, that's my second. So look, if I cover myself, it makes proper blanket. But yeah, let's keep it here. Actually, it's nice and warm on a day like today. So that was my second finished object. And the total, so 24 by 20 gram mini sock yarn 4 ply for a total of 480 grams. Then my third finished object was a very small one that I did really at the very beginning of the month. A few months ago, I think it was January, when I did those bag charms as gifts for some friends, I saw a pattern for a keyring case, specifically for a car keyring, which is basically, she had different designs. So she had these little monsters with big mouth that kind of eat the key to protect it, and one of them was a Dachshund. So obviously I had to do it. So I bought the pattern, which is Dachshund key case pattern by SoftLoop. I use leftovers, so I use for the black, I use the leftover from my aunt's poncho from last year, poncho with sleeves from last year, and I have a few, I don't have much left, but as you know, I do have a few small balls left, and I'm gonna use it whenever I need a little bit of black. So either holding it double, because it's a fingering weight. So here I held it single, obviously, otherwise I can hold it double to make a decay. And then I used for the details like of the eyes and the mouth and the paws, just probably what, 5 grams, not even, of, no, I think probably less. Yeah, very, very tiny amount, a gram, 2 grams of, I didn't weigh, so I don't know exactly how much, but very little. So I'm not counting it actually in my yarnmap balance because it's too little. Yeah, so some cottons that I have, and I'm really pleased with. I don't have it here to show you because the car key is attached and Yanni is out with the car at the moment. So I've got some nice pictures to show you, so you will see that. It was quite fiddly to do. It wasn't difficult, but it was quite fiddly because I had to use a 2mm crochet hook, which I rarely use, to be honest. Plus, I didn't have my favorite one, so I had to use a pony bamboo one, which was, I'm sorry, it was terrible. Let me actually show you the pony that I used. This is the one I used. Like, no, it was, I'm sorry, it was terrible, terrible. And I ordered, as you know, my newly found passion now is for tulip. So I ordered a tulip one. Still small, but you know, this is really good. I really like it. And took it so long for it to arrive. Dad had already finished it. Yanni was already using it by the time it arrived. So I have it now next time, so I don't have to use this one again. So yeah, anyway, by the time the tulip arrived, I had finished the object. It was fiddly because of the hook size, the hook shape also. The yarn was tiny, and the pieces were fiddly. Some of them are really tiny, plus obviously the main part was black because it was the Dachshund. That also didn't help, but it was so tiny that even if it was a bit painful to make, it didn't take me long to make it, a couple of days. And yes, I loved it. No, I will not do it again, at least not soon. Because it is too fiddly. It really tested my patience. Obviously, now that I have the tulip in 2mm, I might try again, maybe another design. Maybe it is less fiddly with a hook that I appreciate more. So who knows? Watch this space. For now, no, I will not make it again, but I might eventually in the future. However, it is fun. It is a fun make in the end. The final object is really fun. So if you like these type of things, maybe have a look. It was I love the final product, that's for sure. So this is all my finished objects for this month. As you can see, I don't have as many as last month. However, I have 2 big finished ones, which it is really good because I really focused on finishing these. As you know, I was still missing quite a bit of these, and then I made most of the bralette because I only had done this much rib. And then I did that little thing, and I also have a very big progress on my work in progress. So now we're gonna move to work in progress. If you've seen again my episode of my summer tops, actually I mentioned it there, and I do say I'm working on it as part of my crochet club at work. So I've been teaching to crochet to a group of people at my work. They've become so proficient, they are better than, to be honest, some of them are better than me now, at least at crochet. They do not knit, at least I have that advantage. But yeah, they're really good. One of them has already finished it. I'll see if I can put the picture of her finished object. She did it in green. She adapted it to make it longer and to make the sleeves shorter. I forgot to say the name. So this is called the Summer Lacy Summer Top by Addict, I think. But yeah, the name as usual is gonna be on the screen. So we chose among a few crochet patterns to make a summer pattern in cotton bamboo, and we all wanted to make the same, and I wanted it to be a little bit more challenging for them. It was their first garment for almost all of them. Only one had done a garment before, and it was like a granny square pullover or cardigan. So it's a very different construction. So it was the first time they were attempting some sort of lace, the first time they were attempting construction, so the concept of ease, swatching also, which only 2 of them did. I usually don't swatch, I don't always swatch, but I know when to swatch. This is definitely a thing for which I would swatch for, and they didn't. Even if I told them, it's fine, it's going well, even if they didn't swatch, they were lucky. That's why I don't have the many finished objects, because I have lots of progress on this. This is one of the panels, and then I started with the second panel. And also I had done this much, so I had done 4 repetitions, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I had done this much, and I was halfway through the 5th one, and I decided to unravel it all and start again. So it is almost like I've done like 2.5, because I swatched. And while I'm talking, actually, I will add a few pictures of their works in progress of my students, of my very talented students. We all got the same yarn, which is Vikings bamboo yarn, which is cotton bamboo, actually, it's not just bamboo. And I think we bought it from Linde Hobby, and it was really, really cheap, really good price. We all chose different colors, but same yarn. And so the swatch, I did the gauge swatch. 2 of my students did the gauge swatch. And I blocked the gauge swatch, I let it dry, and then I measured it. and I used the 4mm hook as recommended, as per pattern, as per this recommended by this yarn. And then when I looked at it, I measured it, and it was bigger, a fair bit bigger than it was supposed to be. So not a couple of millimeters, it was a good centimeter, centimeter and a half bigger, which usually doesn't happen to me. Usually my tension is very close to the recommended tension for the yarn. If anything, if not, is slightly tighter than what is recommended. So I never have to go down a size. Eventually I have to go up a little bit. So I was surprised. I was like, well, you know, this looks big, so I will have to go down. So I went down to 3.75 millimeters. Not much, but I was like, well, I just want it to be right. And then I started working on it. And by the time I got to the 4th repetition, so here, I was measuring it against me, and I was like, this is not gonna be big enough. And then I took out the tape measure, I measured it, and what it was, it didn't grow, it grew, but it didn't grow that much to adjust for the different engage. The swatch grew probably less than half a centimeter. So for the whole piece, let's say it grows 1 centimeter. However, I was missing something like 10 centimeter on the piece, almost 12 centimeter on this piece. And I was like, this is not right. This is absolutely not right. And I couldn't explain. Why did the gauge, why was the gauge like that? And I had to go down because it was too big. And now the piece, and I went down, so I'm working on gauge perfectly, but the piece is nowhere near what it should be. It's much smaller. So I just decided to unravel it and do it with a 4mm, and luckily I did, because it's coming out just the right size, as you can see. So of course it will be blocked, it will be stretched, then the weight of the yarn will pull at it, etc, etc. But it was a good 10 centimeters smaller than this, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, this is just not right. And then one of the 2 students of mine that actually listened to me and did the gauge swatch had the same problem. She ended up having a much larger swatch, and that didn't make any sense. So she went on with the same hook size that she used for the gauge swatch, and she started working on it, and it's perfect. So I believe that, I'm sorry to say, I think the gauge swatch for different sizes is not necessarily correct for the actual size of the garment. So if you decide to do it, what I recommend is just skip the gauge swatch, start doing, it doesn't take long, because I'm gonna get into it, but this is really quick to make. Actually, this is 1 repetition. This is a whole 1 repetition. I stopped at the end of 1 repetition. As you can see, it has nice puffer stitch. So it's well, it has a foundation row, obviously, and then it has 4 rows that are the pattern repetition. So you do 1 of these. I know it's not the same as a gauge swatch, and then you measure this. And if this is large enough, because then the length, you just do a repetition more, which we've done, because she did it very cropped. We didn't want it as cropped as she did. I mean, it's still fairly cropped, the one I did, but you know, it's gonna drape, and I wanted to put it over dresses, etc. So it's gonna be fine if it's a bit cropped, but not as cropped as she did it. I'm not as minute and thin as the designer is, sadly. Then you measure that. I would say the width is the most important thing. If the width matches, then just go on doing it. If the width doesn't match, then adjust, but don't rely on the gauge swatch. I don't think it's accurate. And then yeah, just as you go, just adjust with the repetitions. So we talked about the yarn, we talked about the gauge swatch. It is really quick to make because it has lots of holes, really. Yes, so it has in front of me, maybe you see it better. It has lots of holes and it is really quick. It really grows quickly because it's quite addictive as a pattern, as a pattern really, as a repetition. So it is fairly simple, and then you get to the puffer stitch here, and that is kind of the most difficult thing, not because it is difficult, but because this type of yarn is a little bit splitty with it being bamboo and cotton. And it is actually, this Viking one, I must say, is a bit splittier than other bamboo cotton that I've used. For example, the cotton bamboo Rosarius Falesia that I buy from Yarns You Like, that I'm using for other things, is 50% bamboo and 50% cotton, is nowhere near as splitty as this one. If anything, that one is actually not splitty at all compared to this one, but it's okay. It's okay. So this one, you know, I wanted to have the same yarn as everyone else, so that's fine. If you don't mind it being splitty, plus, what is it? Actually, all of my students, they were complaining about, they were struggling, so I told them to buy this hook. This is a pony soft grip, and it is an inline hook. And I really think this is the best for splitty yarns because it's a bit sharper and it's a bit deeper here, and even better than it for these, it's even better than the tulip. So we are all using the very same crochet hook. And so yeah, and they did say it is a game changer for the puffer stitch. So before the puffer stitch, the puff stitch, before they were struggling, but now they are all super happy, so they're all speeding up really through the pattern. So yeah, it's not difficult. You skip a lot of stitches because of that, so you really get to the end of the row really quickly. In one evening watching a movie, I can do 2 whole repetitions, even more if I don't pay too much attention to the movie. So yeah, it is fairly quick. Then, however, there is one consideration that now I'm making. So now I started the second one, as I said. I'm a little bit, so I added, you were supposed, I'm doing the size M. You are supposed to do 4 repetitions, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so here. And that's exactly how hers looks like, but it is really cropped. So I've added 2 more repetitions before adding the sleeves. And I think that's fine. And then the sleeves are 4 repetitions, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you do exactly the same on the other panel, and then you sew them together. And then you do just a half row, a little bit just here, then for the sewing, to facilitate the sewing. However, this sleeve, even if we double it up, it feels a little bit narrow to me. So I don't know, I was actually now considering on both pieces to actually add another row just for this bit and this bit. So this is the neckline, as you see here, and then this is to attach the shoulders so that it gets a little bit deeper. So now you see why I only had 3 finished objects this month. I did a lot of work on it, so I'm a little bit more than halfway through because I started the second piece. So that's very exciting. I was hoping to finish this before the end of June because I'm going to do something special again at the end of June, and I wanted to wear this if possible. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure I should be able to because this is quick, and I'm gonna continue. It is a good project. I think I would recommend it, and you can have it for free. She also has a video tutorial that you can follow, so even if you struggle with certain type of stitches and construction, you can follow along. Let's move on to incoming. So this month I've been really good, and incoming is absolutely no yarn. I have very little incoming, which I'm gonna show you now. So I was really good. I didn't buy any yarn, but I did buy a project bag. So at the beginning of the month, I think it was during the first bank holiday, Makes by Mia did a little sale of her bags, and I decided to treat myself for one of her bags. I particularly liked this one. It's small pouch bag, small box bottom. I absolutely love the colors of this pattern, and I don't know if you can see, it is slightly padded, slightly quilted, and it has the wristlet, and it has her tag. So here is her name, and if we open it, inside it's a lovely lilac fabric, and also she had some really cute stickers in there, which are always actually quite nice. I wanted to show you the stickers too. Yeah, this was my purchase for me, and I wanted to show you that. I haven't used it yet because I wanted to keep it nice and pristine to show you, but I do have something in mind that I think it's gonna go perfectly in here. Actually, while I mentioned Makes by Mia, let's do the quick recap for this month for the Stashdown MAL that Makes by Mia and Wellbeing Knits are hosting. So this month, actually, yeah, everything I made goes in it. So I've got the Granny Wrap as an entry. I've got the Brady Bralette as an entry because I put the yarn a long time ago. I haven't done the post on Instagram yet, so there will be the hashtag on the screen, and what you need to do if you want to make an entry is post on Instagram, tagging both of them and using this hashtag. Really, the only rule is that you're using, or you finished an object using yarn acquired before 2026. So anything you bought until the 31st of December 2025 counts, and they have quarterly prizes, I think. So you can also enter on Ravelry. So they have their own, they set up some Ravelry groups for this. So there's lots of chatter there too, so you can follow that. So yeah, the Brady Bralette is in there, and the Dachshund key case also is. I don't know if I published that one. I don't think I did. So yes, I still need to make my entries. So I've made one. I need to make 2 more for it, and then let's see. Fingers crossed. So since I don't have any other incoming, actually I think I treated myself to this month so that I wouldn't buy yarn. I went and bought these 2. They're actually the same thing, one for knitting and one for crochet. I got the Simply Crochet magazine and the Simply Knitting magazine. So the Simply Crochet had these. So I suppose this counts, there's a bit of yarn in here. So I had these, and the pattern is in the magazine, and is to make the kingfisher, which I really think it's super cute. So I am gonna make it, maybe now in June. I think it is really nice. I like it. And then I can tell you, I particularly like, there are some patterns in here that I really like. So I just wanted to show you them. I really like this blanket. It's a lobster blanket. And yeah, I don't know, it's really cute. It's called Inch by Inch. It's like a caterpillar, and oh, so cute. And you can make it as big and as small as you need, and I think it's perfect. It's perfect probably for children and for babies, as long as you embroider the eyes. And it's perfect if you have any leftover in any yarn, but especially in chenille yarn, chunky or thinner. It can be a really nice cuddly toy, easy to make. I don't even think you need much stuffing, really. I don't think you need to stuff the body. So I think this is, I don't know, I think it's brilliant, and I really want to make it. So this is something that, yes, I don't know, I think it's brilliant, and I'm gonna use it for all that I need to add there. So these were the patterns that I particularly liked in this one. And then the knitting one had these are 2 bag straps. They say high quality bag straps. I know how expensive they are, and actually feel really good. So yeah, I'm happy. I was planning to make a bag anyway. I already have the bottom that I bought at the fair last year. So having the straps is also something nice. And so yeah, I bought mainly for the straps. but it also had some cute patterns, which has this delicate lace. So I don't know, I find it very nice, very spring-like, and I think it's really cute. Hope you can see it well. This is another picture, maybe you can see it a little bit better here. So it's a nice cardigan, again, slightly cropped. So yeah, this is what I found, like a little bit of inspiration. I thought it would be fun, and at least didn't make me buy any more yarn. And actually I've seen that at the summer wool fair that I will go to in July, they also will have a store where you can donate used magazines that then they can share and swap with people who want to get the magazines. So if I don't need them anymore, I can even when I will not need them anymore, I can always bring them there, and so they're not gonna go to waste. So that's actually something really good to know. And now moving on to our yarn map update. So as you've seen, yarn in is 0 this month. I think it might be the first time that I didn't buy any yarn. Maybe it happened once last year, but hadn't happened this year, so that's a big win. Then yarn out is also quite big. So yarn out between the wrap and the bralette, which is the top, is a total of 649 grams. So my yarn balance this month is minus 649 grams, which is amazing. So it means that I have used 649 grams completely from my stash and didn't buy anything, and that is really great results. I'm really proud of myself and I'm very pleased. Lastly, what I was up to and what's next. Well, I wasn't up to much really in May, but yes, there was a heat wave, so I did enjoy it at the beginning, but then it got really hot. What is going to happen in June? So June is going to be a little bit more interesting. So next week I am going to go on Friday, on the 12th. I am going to go with Petra on a nice day out in London, and we are going to go to Buckingham Palace, specifically to the Queen's Gallery, to see the exhibition about all of the clothes and dressing and the style of the late Queen Elizabeth II. The exhibition, it opened, I think it was at the end of April, so it's been open just a little bit more than a month. And I saw it open, and literally the week after I looked it up, and there were still quite a few slots from June onward. And then I looked up again and barely nothing was left for June. I filled up really quickly. I think now they've extended it because it filled up incredibly quickly. Sorry, that's low-key. So we managed to get tickets. However, we decided to go on a Friday so that we could go at a time that suited us better. So we thought, look, it's gonna be summer, it's gonna be nice. We haven't seen each other in a while. We thought, let's give us a day of holiday. So we're gonna make a day out of it. It's gonna be a nice Friday. And then, so we're gonna go to the exhibition, and then we're gonna go around London a little bit. I might do a little vlog about the day out. So that's very exciting. And then at the end of the month is going to be having the last Friday of the month. I'm going to go to the Natural History Museum at the Toft workshop. So it's going to be an evening workshop. So I think it starts 6:30, 7, something like that. At the end of the day, I did go last year too. It was my very first Toft workshop. So I'm quite excited about that also. And I know, I think Michelle from Michelle Star Stitches is going. I know Ushma is going, whom actually I met at the Natural History Museum workshop last year. And it was her first workshop too, I think. So I'm actually going to be very pleased to see her again. And I will definitely do a vlog about that one, as I always do when I go to Toft workshops. So this is my June, and I'm actually looking forward for the rest of the month that is ahead of me, for summer to come back a little bit and to continue knitting and crocheting as much as I have. What I want to do for the rest of June is really take out projects that I have started last year or before and continue to progress them, potentially finish them. So I think that's it for now. So I do hope you're having a nice time. Let me know what you're making and let me know in the comments. And as I mentioned at the beginning, thank you very much to everyone who subscribed recently and before so far, and for watching and commenting. And if you like the video, put a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed it. And I really appreciate any type of engagement. I really appreciate you being here. With this said, I think we are done for today, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very, very much. Bye bye.